Hey there from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Patricia Murphy with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Wednesday, February 25th. Washington Democrats are slamming President Donald Trump's claim that the State of the Union is strong. The president touted his handling of immigration enforcement, the cost of health care, and the economy last night. Senator Patty Murray did not attend the president's speech. Instead, she addressed Washingtonians in a web stream.
These tariffs did more than squeeze families' wallets. They pushed small businesses in our state to the brink, and they choked our economy.
The Supreme Court ruled last week the president's broad tariffs were illegal because Congress didn't approve them. The president later announced he would impose 15% levies on all imports. The Trump administration has defended their tariff policy, saying it would lead to an increase in U.S. manufacturing and that it's pressured world leaders to bend to U.S. interests. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has apologized to the Gates Foundation staff for any fallout resulting from his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The Wall Street Journal reports Gates addressed the foundation during a town hall yesterday and admitted he had 2 affairs with Russian women that Epstein eventually learned about, but he denied the affairs involved any of Epstein's victims. Gates went on to say it was, quote, a huge mistake to spend time with Epstein. A Seattle official says the team created to respond to crises without police intervention is being hamstrung by bureaucracy. Amy Barden heads the care department. She told council members yesterday that the city's labor contract with SPD are keeping her team from responding effectively. The care team is barred from responding to 911 calls where drug paraphernalia is present, where the subject is combative, or that take place on private property. Barden told the council that out of about 2,400 daily emergency calls, only about 10 would qualify for a response by the care team. Police Chief Sean Barnes has defended the policy, saying that some 911 calls that seem innocuous can escalate into violence. This week, Microsoft pledged to offer more free and discounted AI tools to students, faculty, and researchers at the University of Washington. The aim is to help solve some of the world's biggest problems without introducing new ones. Joshua McNichols has more.
Amelia Kaiser Gibson is an environmental scientist at the University of Washington. She's using AI to analyze photographs of vines to find which adapt best to climate change. It's a paradox. AI produces carbon emissions. At the same time, it's also a new tool to help reduce them.
How do these things square? Like, is the AI doing more good, or is using the AI to figure out the solutions creating more problems than it solves?
That's a great question, and honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I'm highly aware that there's a lot of environmental impact of using AI, but what I can say is that this has allowed us to make research innovations that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. And like AI exists, if we don't utilize it as researchers, we're going to fall behind.
Microsoft reports on its own carbon emissions, but it doesn't reveal everything. That's one reason another UW student is using AI to estimate how much energy AI is using. Joshua McNichols, KUOW News.
Another attempt to lower the blood alcohol level for DUI offenses has failed once again in the state legislature. Senate Bill 5067 failed to pass out of a House committee yesterday. It would have lowered the BAC limit from 0.08 to 0.05. This is the 4th consecutive year lawmakers have tried to lower the blood alcohol level. Utah is the only state in the country right now with a 0.05 BAC limit. Opponents, like some in the food and wine industries, have argued lowering the levels here would harm responsible social drinkers. Meanwhile, people who drive more than 30 miles an hour over the speed limit could be facing new penalties in Washington state. The state Senate passed a bill that would make driving that fast qualify as reckless driving and result in jail time and a suspended driver's license. Axios reports the most recent statewide data shows nearly 1/3 of Washington's fatal crashes involve high speed. Governor Ferguson says he supports the bill, but it hasn't yet passed in the House. State officials caught more than 800 Japanese beetles in South King County last year. They're gearing up to spray 2,000 lawns in the area with pesticides. John Ryan reports.
The shiny green beetles have infested the eastern U.S., where they're considered a highly destructive pest. Officials have been spraying lawns in Oregon and central Washington for a few years to stop the plant-chomping invaders, but this would be a first for western Washington. Agriculture officials think the beetles hitchhiked in on an airplane. Most of the spraying is planned for the Angle Lake area, just south of SeaTac Airport. Pesticide would only be sprayed where property owners give permission. Officials say this pesticide is safe for humans, pets, and wildlife, but other insects like pollinators and butterflies could be affected. If you find a Japanese beetle and want to kill it without pesticide, just drop it in a bowl of soapy water. John Ryan, KUOW News.
Now our feature story today. The city of Everett recently passed a law making it a jailable offense to operate a food cart without a permit. It's the second city in the state, after Sela near Yakima, to involve law enforcement as it cracks down on unlicensed food carts. To learn more, food reporter Ruby DeLuna sat down with KUOW's Kim Malcolm.
What is Everett exactly trying to do here with this law?
Well, officials say it's about public safety and fairness. They heard from business owners like David Bly. He told the council he pays fees for the necessary permits and that his restaurant is required to go through regular inspections. He's frustrated that these unlicensed food stands have been popping up near his business, often after dark, and violating regulations.
There's no sinks, there's no potable water to wash their hands or do any of the refrigeration that I have to deal with.
Wow. Yeah. And that sounds like it could be a public health safety concern as well. Do we have any idea about how many people may have become ill that can be traced to these unlicensed carts?
Yes. I spoke with Kim Van Pelt, director of the Snohomish County Health Department. She said last year the county had 5 cases of foodborne illnesses that can be traced to unpermitted food activity. But she thinks it's higher than that because the industry standard is for every 1 case reported, that represents 10 others not reported.
Yeah. So how have public health officials responded to this?
Well, typically they would shut down the operation, but try to educate folks in food handling safety and how to get their permits and all that. But lately, many are back up operating again a few hours later in a different location or in the same spot. Van Pelt says there's a lot of misperception that these are mom-and-pop operators trying to make a living. While some of that exists, by and large, what they're seeing is a more concerted, organized effort behind these operations.
They seem to have a centralized kitchen, have essentially vans that bring food to locations. The people selling the food don't really often know who they're working for, but they're working part of a larger operation.
Ruby, that sounds kind of shadowy.
It does, because they don't know who's behind the operation.
We can't compel them to give us their name. We've tried all sorts of creative things, for example, even trying to trace their license plates, but we often find that the license plates, vans are rented vehicles. So we've had real limits in terms of our ability to be effective.
Yeah, Van Pelt adds that their authority is limited. They can shut them down with cease and desist orders and impose civil penalties. Like other counties, Snohomish County has seen a proliferation of these unlicensed food carts. Last year alone, Van Pelt says, the agency received 800 complaints compared to just a few in previous years. But there's only so much they can do on their own.
So is this where Everett's new law is coming into play?
Yes, the law makes it a misdemeanor to operate a food stand without a permit, which carries a fine of $1,000 and up to 90 days in jail for workers. Employers, though, face tougher penalties and longer jail time. It allows law enforcement to confiscate equipment. This all takes effect February 26th. Of course, this ordinance applies only to Everett. Now, Van Pelt says several municipalities within Snohomish County have been meeting to coordinate their efforts because these operators will likely set up outside of Everett. I would add that Snohomish County isn't alone. Other counties across the state are also grappling with the same issue.
Yeah, exactly. So is the state intervening here?
It is getting involved. The Department of Health is collaborating with local health departments across the state, and they're working on guidance for responding. In an email response, the department said the guidance is still under development and hopes to have that finalized by April.
KUOW food reporter Ruby DeLuna talking with Kim Malcolm. Next time on Seattle Now, we're approaching the 25th anniversary of the Nisqually earthquake that rocked Seattle.
We need to move faster than geology when it comes to making ourselves safe and ready for the next earthquake.
We'll hear how the Nisqually quake forever changed the Pioneer Square neighborhood Thursday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst. The interview in today's episode was produced by John O'Brien. I'm Patricia Murphy. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See ya!